Okay, I can't hear my computer. Okay. Connect my headphones. Good. Okay, I have Ethernet for now. We're just gonna set up, as per usual, the other stuff. Oh, I'm so bad at using phones. No. Thank you. Oh, right. That should have everything set up. This is the reason I was late. It's called hyper focusing. So I guess hope you don't mind I do this while yeah, do you? So oh my god, I have the desktop notification, please. No. So today we are going to talk about guides and interpreting and some stuff I found that was helpful and not helpful and whatnot, because I see some things and I've helped a lot of people in the community, but like, and I keep saying the same things and I see them go down the same holes, and I keep thinking to myself, some of this could have been avoided. You know, in the corner there, is that, if that's clipping through, yeah, that's clipping through, that's gonna bother me. Um, and some things that could have just have been avoided. I did pick out some tutorials as examples that we can look through in a moment or two. This needs a light fixture. I don't know what I'm doing. We're just going to use this one because it's pretty and it's an expensive item and it might increase my depthal energy. Jeez Louise. I have to get my screen so bright. Okay. No, we are not here for a teapot tour. Not today. Not today. I don't know what I want to do. A lot of people like to run around Mondstadt and Leeway, so oh my god, I'm still angry at we're gonna go in here. So oh, I need to farm Lala trolls. That's right, the game doesn't actually tell you how many there are. So I'm going to first cover where some of the greatest misconceptions come from. And that would be from content creators unintentionally. I'm not sure if any of you are in the actual space where like TikTok shop or some of these other things, and where the creator will say you need this is a must have, so on. A lot of times in the community, every single time a new character comes out, the characters in the open world are the product. So everyone's going to get super excited for this new thing and say it's the most broken thing, and this might create FOMO of fear of missing out. I just want people to be aware that when you see those, this is the best ever, or new character releases, that kind of stuff, that impartially they're trying to sell you something, and also The peer pressure is real. You don't have to pull on every single character. Just take some time to think about it. This is hours of your life and actual money, and you don't want to be making mistakes, right? So that's probably like the first thing going on here. And I feel like the best and worst labeling often also makes people devalue their account, lower their self-esteem, cause them to have a very bipolar view of the game and its characters and its design. As I heard once, if you like a game, you should follow some people who also like the game so that you're not constantly feeling down or thinking that a game is terrible. I think there's a lot more good than bad. I think there's always room for improvement, but that is what it is. And this labeling things as being purely good and purely bad, people really crave that kind of stuff. So don't fall for it. The lines between what makes a good and a bad character is it's a lot slimmer than you might think. And brings up the question of how much damage do you actually need. Kind of getting into that point. And Abyss is honestly just really overtuned to the point where it is pay to win and not worth the mental hassle for most people. And I see a lot of beginners stressing out that they want those 36 stars or whatever, or grinding to get new characters. And it's just not, as 90% of the game isn't that. And so there'll be misplaced hate, or better yet, misplaced adoration of certain things. These dudes do not have crystals. I am not interested in fighting them. Hey guys, want to see what a C0R0 Iato does? You want to react to me? This is back in the days where your entire team amplified each other's damages. You done? Thank you. I lost track. Why do they put the lizards? Does anyone know what the lizards are even for? So, oh. Yeah, I was talking about, like, we have a bit of a capitalist complex going on when a new character releases. Just going in circles here? Oh, there's a hole. Let's go into it. I actually wrote down notes this time in hoping that I would actually be more on top of it, which I'm not. Anyway, don't let any of that selling make you do impulse purchases, hate the characters you have, hate characters you don't have, judge other people based on what characters they've built, like, none of that. Crystal flies. Don't mind if I doozles. Oh, we're at the other side. Hopefully there's some crystals over here. I don't have Ningguang on this farming party. Oh, there's danger everywhere. God, I don't need this Noctilucent Jade, but it will mess up my search. You never know when you need something, right? Doo-doo-doo. Hey. I don't know who that was, but it was rude. Oh, yes. And of course, because of these polarized statements, we get tier lists without nuance. I think tier lists are interesting because they show how different people approach the game differently, and it really makes you think, why did that person put that there, and that kind of stuff. So I think it's fun and there's no harm in it, but it really does tell you something about how the person views the game. Ooh, those dudes like popped out of nowhere. Like, no thank you. Oh, there's some... This is... Tiny Ninja. Tiny Ninja. I should probably go somewhere to an actual city or place to discuss all this crap. I think actually... Yeah, I think Abyss might be a cool place to just not be inside of it and do it, but to discuss things. Mm. Oh, just the devaluing of other characters. Um, and a lot of these times when people, content creators, are saying things are the newest or the bestest or the most broken or the worstest of the worst, they're kind of negating the fact that the product of Genshin is the characters, which all they want to be them all be unique, do different things, varying power levels and whatnot. And it neglects the second product, which is actually the open world maps that we get to explore, which, in my opinion, exploration and challenges are an excuse to use your characters. And I feel like Abyss is just like one part of the game, and most of the rewards don't even come from Abyss. So, like, you're suddenly they're saying a character is really great at this. Abyss is it's a paywalled type of speedrunning content at this point, and unless you like speedrunning, like don't do it. If I would much rather watch someone speedrun online. I think it's so cool to just see what humans are capable of. I don't think I could ever do it myself. Not just because I don't have the money, but I'm not very good at executing things perfectly. My first introduction to speedruns, I think, was Breath of the Wild speedruns from Zelda. Some of them are absolutely nutty. So if you ever want to like watch some really cool speedruns, some like all percents, dungeon percent, plot plot percent, I think, are various ones. I always do 100%, but map percent. Yeah, they're kind of cool. There's a lot of categories. It's its own community that isn't given enough appreciation, and I don't think anyone realizes that Abyss has turned into speedrunning content. So now you're getting a bunch of people who actually don't like speedrunning, taking on speedrunning challenges, which is particularly paywalled ones. Like the only way you're gonna beat this is if you pay money, time and money, time for the artifacts and money to buy those top ups for perfect artifacts, monies to get the C6s, like even here, like Movika is still overkill and that kind of stuff. So if you're not interested in speedrunning and in Abyss, like why are you worrying so much whether so good at characters? Because Abyss is the metric they're using. It's not like how good are they in Overworld or how good they are on different teams. Like it all very much depends because this game, in spite of what they'll tell you, is actually a very complicated game that you practically need a degree in. By the time you're ready to tackle Abyss, you should like it shouldn't be the characters you have or the artifacts you have alone. It should be the skill you've gotten from playing the game. It should be the tips and tricks you've learned along the way and the problem solving that comes with building a great team. And the best way to get all of that information is online guides. Guides and tutorials, I think, have been kind of one of the strongest parts of the game community. I remember when I was first getting into a lot of puzzle games that it was my favoriteest, most useful things. There used to be a stigma where using tutorials or guides was like for losers who couldn't actually play the game. Um, but I think that they're always a helpful resource. And given my background in my science degree, I'm going to tell you something really important. That is, when it comes to understanding guides online for anything, is to look at as many of them as possible. Because sometimes they copy and paste from each other, so they're all written by different ones. You can go to YouTubers, and different YouTubers have different takes. Like the Kitchen Scientist is going to give you a different perspective from Jack, from Zox, from Gotcha Gamer, from Win to Lose, Jello. Like they're all Saluna. They're all going to give you very different perspectives, and the more perspectives you have, the more rounded of an opinion you'll have on things and an understanding of what characters do and how to play them. But before you get to any of that, of course, you're just going to have a character open. And the number one thing you should always do before you see the guide is A, get the character, and B, go down to their talents and read this text here. The number of times I've helped people and it turned out that they just didn't read the kit is just astounding. Like, I know it's word salad, but if you can like read this and maybe if you're having trouble, a pen and paper and just cut out some of the words and say the gist of it to yourself, and then understand it. The same goes for constellations when you read them. Like someone will tell you, oh, the C2 is broken or whatever, right? But like read it for yourself and be the judge. Sometimes they're right, but like it, I don't I don't think you need a C6. Some of them don't need. Like Chevreuse, I think they say they want her at C6 because this heals the whole team party, gives you 20% Electro and Pyro damage bonus. But that's not why you play Chevreuse. You play her for her talents, which offer 40% shred against Pyro and Electro on enemies. And the fact that, yeah, we'll gain up to, like, what is this? Yeah, it can get up to 40% attack buff to them. So they're getting 40% attack and they're getting shred. But apparently this isn't good enough for most people at C0. Right now, if you just read these and read these, and this one's going to say essentially that if you aim her shot and she's caused an overload reaction, you aim her shot, it's going to trigger her passives. And if there's been overload, it does more damage. So if you always make sure when you go in here to go to the skill attributes tab, you may notice that these numbers are all simple percents, and simple percents without any specifications like defense or otherwise, or EM or whatever, just means it scales off of a character's attack. As you can see, her healing is based on HP. And yes, also this passive is also based off of her HP. So she's actually an HP scaler if you want the best out of her kit. And so the goal, if you do some simple math from these two, that essentially means that all you need on her is 40k HP and to aim her gun. And then you'll get the most out of your Chevreuse. You don't need constellations. You don't need anything else like that. You don't even need ER. If you look at her talents, this does some AoE damage, but it's like not necessary. I just leveled it for funsies. In some rotations, it makes them feel better. And yeah, it just is instances of pyro damage. There's nothing special here. And it's mid-scaling. These are her shots, and it says the different ones for the different types of attacks that are mentioned in here with the too much jargon. And so Chevreuse just, it doesn't matter what artifacts I've on her double HP to give her as much HP as possible. She's at level 90 for as much HP as possible. As you can see, I did not care about the crit values. I didn't even care about ER. I just slapped artifacts on her. You will notice she does have 150 EM because I want her to have a little bit of reaction damage because she's doing overloads, which is why it's like that. So now that you've read the kit and what each one does and all this type of stuff, and you see what the scaling is, you can now make a better judge of the gist of what you want. The gist is she wants HP and doesn't care about any other stat. If you're wondering how much energy to give someone, you can look at the bottom. 60 is generally the lower end, where the higher end is 80 plus burst cost. There's some character somewhere, I forget which one, that has a 40% burst cost. But basically, by the time you get burst costs that low, you don't need to worry about them. Our showcase is going to actually be Ayato here, who's got an 80 burst cost, which is like really high, but it's actually not that low. And I'm going to go, or that high. It doesn't feel that high. And we're going to go into it after a little bit. As you can see, he's an attack scaler. He's got some stacks based on his HP, as you can see from that number. It's a normal attack. You can tell that this helps with his energy costs. Yeah, this will help him regenerate energy. We're gonna see my build in a second. And the cooking passive, you mix sus food. And then this one here, I forget, I haven't read his kit in so long. It just works now. Yeah, this is named Sicken Sex, which is why you want to put him on why his sets are echo. And that's why you saw in here the HP. The bonus stack is based on his HP and the amount of HP you have, which means that you do want HP on him. Mostly attack, but you do want a good amount of HP. And the Echo set, which has been fixed, by the way, does actually work on him. And I do generally get all stacks. I have him on his, probably his best one. I bought this for him. I generally enjoy him. He's more of a team-wide damage dealing. There's been a trend towards hyper carries, but that's not what he does. You can see I got a good 2k attack. I got a pretty good CV for damage dealer, and you can see his ER is a measly 115 for an 80 burst cost. I have no energy problems with him. So now that I've told you all that, let's just quickly tell you what his talents do. He goes into his infusion state where he'll have really fast attacks. Every 4 attacks, he's going to get a stack, which will give him a big boost. So each hit is gonna increase till the 4th one, and then the stacks are gonna reset and start all over again. It'll look like a sawing action on the enemy health bar, and his burst gives anything inside of the burst hydro damage on opponents, and it gives attack to whatever character's on field. So some people will actually use his burst for hydro application and as a buffing opportunity. And if you look at his constellations, I don't understand. Like, I guess this buffs his skill. Early constellations are not the bestest. I feel like his sword, because I have no 5-star swords, would probably be a better investment, but it's like actually just like a 40% increase. But so I'd be interested to see what that is. But I just like I have like he pulls it out and it looks so terrible, but this weapon is actually a pretty good weapon. All right. Now that we've looked at this character, we're gonna go through some guides. So from creator guides in terms of artifacts, they actually recommend that you put him on Art of Depth or Nymph Stream. I wouldn't farm Nymph Stream unless you want Veracashas for 2-piece HP, 2-piece HP. And Gladiator is just as fine on him, which begs the question, why do I have him on full echoes? And that is because I really love this character, and I think if you want to go into a niche dungeon for your favorite character, you should. I don't really have resonant efficient dungeons because yeah, I had to farm a long time for this. So he's on attack, and crit damage, and I'm gonna tell you why in a minute, because that's also not really something you should do and is a figure case. So the way my Ayato is built is a case of the nuance in some of the guides you will read. So we're gonna switch on over and we're gonna go to which one did we go to first? We're gonna go. Oop. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Hold on, guys. I didn't. Oopsie. All right. So this is one of my favorite guides online. They get some things wrong, but it is a community thing. We can also probably get up get the Genshin wiki here too. Sorry, I'm bumping the microphone. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Come on. Should be at the top. I think they put him in K because they gave them full names for Inazuman characters. I'm sorry, I think he's fun. He is, if a character is better than Ayato, they're a great character. If they're worse than Ayato, they are just supremely mid and terrible characters. He's kind of one of those benchmarks. So if you go here, this site I find is probably the best starting place if you want more information on characters. It tells you what you need to build them. It doesn't tell you how or what is best. It just presents you the information. So if we go onto his skill, which is the most important part of his kit, it has gameplay notes like what the constellations do, and in general some things you might not know. Then there's advanced properties, which tells you about the gauges, the ICDs, and often they'll say if it does blunt damage. So he's not doing any blunt. Yes, you saw how I was knocking the back earlier? This is from the blunt damage. This can result in hit lag and larger hits in general, but blunt is what causes knockback and is also how you mine rocks. So if a character doesn't do any blunt damage, they're not going to hit any rocks, they're not going to push back any enemies, they're not going to cause shatter, that type of stuff. I know I'm not even fully clear on stagger. Yeah, heavy stagger. And the poise damage. So if this kind of like This is like when a character goes in the air and then they fall. It's kind of like fall damage on opponents. An internal cooldown is how often a gauge applies that actually will react, and this is used to balance the game. For the normal cat, it's either 2.5 to 3 hits, so that would guarantee that at least twice per each 4 stacks in his kit, he will react with 2 of those. And each hit is applying 1 gauge of hydro. This is gauge theory is probably, I think, more important than ICD because they're the same every other hit. In general, most characters is going to be defined, but gauges gets important uh if you're fighting things with shields or you need to cause reactions, like a little bit, like if you have a burning aura, it'll keep fire on there, and you don't need a lot of dendro to keep up a burn. So the gauges will matter less. But if you want to vape, if you have a hydra character and a pyro character, so if I wanted Iato to vape in this team on this team, which would double his damage because the multiplier is 2, it means that I would need to make sure he is the one applying all of the hydro. And it's saying in here, these are the one that the first and the last hit and these type of things don't have ICD, so they're guaranteed to vape. So at this point, you would need to make sure that there's more pyro than hydro and no other hydro characters to ensure that he's the one applying the hydro, and therefore his hits are the ones that are vaping. And this is why Shangling is recommended, because she applies a lot of pyro. Also, this is why Child works in those setups for national team, is because he's the solo Hydra character and there's a lot of pyro, which means he will vape all of his hits, and he's an early character, so he has no ICD. By the time it came to Inazuma, they balanced the game properly. This is the scaling, so if you are thinking of rolling on a character, you may want to look at like, oh, I'm going to get them to level 80 to level 9 or 90, and you can see the scaling is really big at first and gets really small in plateaus. So once you get to a crown, it's like, it looks like, oh, that's a big difference, but this difference in up to get to the amount of materials it takes to get to level 8, that's how much it's going to take to get to level 9 and then to level 10 again, right? Like, it's just an insane amount of resources if for crowning characters, and it goes all the way up to 15 I think for child. Honestly, if you have a C6 child, because he does his normal attacks, he adds 1 and it adds 3. This is a lot of math. Anyway, this is the scaling. This is the scaling per each hit. Has increasing hit on top of the stacks he gets, means that each one of these is going to hurt a little bit more. And this is the damage per HP, percent of his HP, which, given that he can get up to 20-30k HP, is actually quite good. So we're going to go back to the game here. And you can see there he's got 23k HP. You might assume on this character, and a lot of people do, that having a lot of attack is better than having HP, but if you have HP rolls in your substats, it's actually pretty good because he's going to get stacks based off of them. Is this what guides will tell you to do? No, it will not. You will only gain that if you read this character, and if you go on to more technical sites like this that tell you more important, or not more important, but basic information. And of course, if you want to see what the character looks like while they do this, you just have a dummy that explodes. Yeah, and like, it shows you how many stacks you get. So that'll give you the base information. This one also, when it has this in the descriptions, it has, as you may notice when I just showed you his descriptions, they were quite large. These ones are kind of small down. So if you're having trouble understanding in game, the Genshin Wiki does have similar translations. Again, it's going to tell you what you need to farm per talent. We have running history, and then we have the constellations and what they do, and advanced things about them. So if you're thinking of getting constellations, this is a great resource to see what the constellations actually do. Everything in the wiki is copy and pasted directly out of the game, and I verified it for many things, and it is an actual wiki that is community resourced and edited. This is more reliable than if you were to go to some of the other sites that other people use. If you do want to cross-reference, there are a few of them, but they're not. This one has more of a standard of official data, where some other ones kind of have some elite, some information on them that was suspiciously obtained. Oh my goodness. We're getting here. So this is Kaching's mains, as you can see on the bottom. This is a good place to start as well. Um, I like that they now have these infographics. They're full of good fan art they credit. So it's really a fan-made site. And as you can see for him, they have some recommendations. This is not ordered. Actually, we're gonna open GG for a second. Yeah, if we go here. So this is a site for whales. So we're gonna go here. We're using him because he's just a really basic, easy to understand character. So as you can see, this also tells you, but it doesn't tell you how much. And then it tells you, it ranks everything, right? Oh, what is all this? What is all this? The reason you don't see echoes on here is because echoes is ping reliant. So if you have over 100 ping, you're not going to get that. But this simple site is not going to tell you that. You can also see that it says what type of, it's like always wants a hydro damage and always wants these in this order. It thinks that you need crit and then crit damage and then attack and ER. As I just showed you on mine, my perfectly functional IATA, this is not really true. This is weapons. Of course, 5-star weapons offer better base stats, but they're not a deal breaker. I think it's a slow, so it's like 5% up through each of these. It's probably a 5% increase, 10% increase, and I think his weapon, his signature between the black sword and his regular one is some R5 to R1, probably about 20% difference. My sword is, of course, R2, so this would be a 40% increase in damage overall. And it also works on chlorine, who I have, which is really nice. So, but most people are not going to have this, and this site tends to just like recommend this thing. I would not farm Veracashes if you don't want the other 2Ps. Unless you play freeze, you may not want to farm this dungeon. And everyone has Gladiator. I played up on Gladiator for the longest time and Heart of Depth, and the difference was not very negligible, not very noticeable. So it really depends on like what you're farming, what you have better stats on. I find that this doesn't give me enough information. Yeah, they have a creator who's doing the guide up here. They're giving you some example teams, of course. Game 8 and this site are essentially the same, so you don't need to worry about looking between that. And yeah, they have simplified copy pastas over here, but they're not presenting you any nuance or detail whatsoever. They're just kind of stating some facts. So if you took this at face value, you'd be like a little bit confused, but it is getting you thinking. You're like, oh, maybe I want some hydro damage. Oh, he likes crit rate and crit damage weapons. He's a DPS. Like, this is what he does, right? So now you've gotten all that. This here will be about the same. I like Jingmei's has a little bit more nuance. They're not always correct, but like I said, the more sources you get, the better. I'm not actually going to go over any videos because then the stream would be too long. We finally have Ethernet today, so he's going to actually crit. Yeah, of course the signature is the best. I've calculated it, that's true. I don't actually think the Jade Cutter does offer more attack. And at that point, you would want a Hydro Goblet, but I have him on the Battle Pass weapon. And I like this, that it's saying all these artifact sets are equal, which is technically true, but I don't know why Marshwasi Hunter is here. I would not recommend that as someone who plays him. I would be honestly, whatever of these 4 you have in your inventory, you would go for, but most people are going to have these 3 at the front more often than they're going to have echoes. You're more likely to have Heart of Depth and Glad Pieces on you for your sword DPS, Hydro Sword DPS, than you are echoes. You may also notice that I do have Ayato and I do have Nouvelette, and I do play both of them. Nouvelette is a bit better, particularly if you are in speedrunning content and you just need big damage quickly, but if you like teams that do overall damage, Ayato might be a bit more fun. I'm not going to say which character is better or worse. It says here in the talent priority that you want to do his skill, his level 19 is burst. His skill adds a multiplier to his base attacks, so I would actually go skill normal attacks burst and take him to level 90 eventually. The reason you might want to take him to 90 eventually is because of the HP, because a lot of people don't realize that he needs HP in his kit. You do want to get everyone to level 90 if you feel like it eventually. The characters that you love most can be taken to 90, but you don't have to. he's an attack scaler. You don't necessarily have to take him to 90 when you could just have um HP rules on some of his artifacts. um yeah, and then they're gonna go over the ER requirements here in the summary. This is repeated in the bottom. And this one is good because it says that depending on what type of teammates you have, they might be able to present more energy. I think 2 skills per burst. Um, that's not how rotations are gonna work, honestly. 130 to 160. I find with normal gameplay, 110 to 130 is just perfectly fine. Plus a hydro to 10%, 15% or less with 2 electros. Yeah, you can, but I honestly recommend energy ER is actually very underrated, and Kachimines definitely lets you know that you want ER until you are comfortable playing the character. If you are finding your burster never ready, that is an excellent sign. Your character needs more ER. I don't settle for funneling. Don't settle for funneling, ever. This is one of my recommendations on here. So I like that they put that first. But honestly, depending on how you play, and another difference is Nuvo's more, or I mean, Ayado's more multi-target. Like if you've grouped many small enemies, and many small enemies drop more particles than bosses. And because his AoE looks like a cone shape when he lashes forward, it means that he's going to be killing things really quickly, and he's gonna get particles a lot, which further reduces it. So if you have an AoE character, they're going to have lower requirements. If they have a Fav teammate, they're going to have lower requirements. So, Ayato, just based on the team and his best content, you will have no shortage of energy, and you might as well just not care. Like I showed you, like my Ayato had like plenty on him for sure. Oop, it's moving around. It also gives you pros cons, so you can like see if it's right for you, which is another way to judge whether you want a character. And again, yeah, it's attack, ER, hydro damage, crit. I think the value of an elemental goblet is very dependent. We'll get there in a second. Attack ER, he does not need an ER. ER substats will be fine. Yeah, they're some people like him on national. I generally don't like his vape teams very much. I think his funnest teams are freeze, and I like him on Burgeon. Like, you don't probably even put Needle on the Burgeon team, but his Burgeon team in general is actually really fun. That's probably my favorite is his Burgeon and Freeze, which is probably not what you'd be expecting. Personal damage and enables a lot of other people. Yeah, you can apply a lot of blooms. What they're also not mentioning here is EM, which is something that annoys me because EM increases the multipliers, and if you have vape is going to double it, but you in the calculations you can also increase that amount by adding EM because EM is a multiplier that is added to the reaction multipliers. So if you have EM on your Hu Tao, it means she's going to do bigger vapes. So she's getting the bonus of vape, but she's even getting even more bonus from vape. So you having EM instead of attack might be a legitimate choice depending on your team. And when it comes to hydro damage is a good choice if you have no incoming damage bonuses. But because I play Farina and I don't play a lot of attack buffers, it means my Ayato was not getting enough attack, but he was getting enough buffs from like Kazuha and from even if I was to play with characters that have Noblesse or VV, that's a lot of extra buffing that's not attack. And in that case, he would need attack, and hydro damage would become less valuable because he's getting external hydro damage bonus. But if you have a lot of like Bennett and Noblesse holders, then suddenly attack is you're not going to have enough incoming hydro damage or elemental damage, and then you're going to need that as your goblet. So the reason he has an attack on my account is because he was not getting enough attack because I play teams with a lot of damage buffers and not a lot of attack buffers, but most accounts play attack buffers, and ergo hydro damage or elemental damage goblets are preferable. So you now just got like you have to think about these things, and guys like this are just not going to tell you any of this. They like to shill here. The reason no one plays Ayato is actually because First of all, there's so much power creep. People aren't very interested. He doesn't run very often. And there seems to be people want to win instead of comfort. He's my first Hydra DPS. I like him. I think he's fun. Yeah, they have this comparison here. I think this is fair. Like I said, I don't think he's worse, and I really think it depends on the content, and they feel both very different to play. And they're both very different written characters. Like, you might just like Nuvolette better as a character or design than Ayato or whatever. There's no reason. It really depends on the content. There's been content where I bring Ayato into Abyss. There's been content where Nuvolette was better. Each character is good at something, I promise. And then you can go through the skills and it tells you everything. A lot of this is copy and pasting, but this one gives you like technical details. Why is Ganyu's burst information in here? We found a community error. And his passives and his constellations and whatnot. If you want here, you can also go to the build section, which is nice that it has a build section. I might need some of this for my background wallpaper. Look at some of these artists. It makes me want to make art. Yeah, so this is mostly just proving the more of the same element you have on a team, the lower your ER requirements are going to be, which is true. But he'll generate lots of particles just fine, particularly if you're running him on reactions. Yeah, freeze doesn't generate a lot of particles. So you may want more ER. But again, he's not a character that struggles with ER. This one, KQM also has a standard that they measure each character by when they're plugging in calculations. Again, they're recommending this. I think it should be attack or hydro damage, but you know, ER, you don't need ER. As we just saw, he refunds energy. He's doing AoE content. His teammates are often holding favs, or he has hydro resonance for the HP. Particularly if you're playing him with Farina, ER is like, he does not need an ER goblet. I feel like the best way to learn how to play characters from someone who's been playing them for a really long time. This is definitely a good place to start. I know this guide helped me a lot. So, okay, so here we have actual substat priorities. ER until needed, and then any sort of crit stats he's missing from his rest of his kit that you need to improve. Attack percent, HP percent, not to be neglected. And then it says artifacts, and better yet, they tell you. I would recommend reading this on any guide to come to your best conclusion as to why they would say that. Oh, they now have the percentages of how much better they are. It is best in slot. Don't be upset if you can't get best in slot. Yeah, I saw some of these cases. You'd only marshal see if you're like playing Farina, Blizzard Slayer, if you're playing him on freeze for some extra crit, but I personally think that you will get annoyed shuffling around builds and stuff. So I would go over what would improve the character individually as a whole, rather than just building them based on a team they fit in, because you never know when content's going to change and a check is going to change, and then suddenly, oh, you have an Abyss Flora, you have a boss or a local legend that Ayato is better for, but oh no, I can't bring my normal team because it's pyro resistant or whatever, and then suddenly you're going to be like, oh my god, I have to change the entire build, and that's not fun for anyone, right? So you might want to focus on characters as individuals rather than what is in their team, if you can help it, because sometimes you have to. It'd be easier to choose your DPS and build a team around them than it would be to try to build him around his team. Yeah, and this one has the percents. It's actually really cool. I almost got the Mitsugiri because I also have Shuri. And you can use Clorin's weapon. They're very similar in terms of character. I think they do have free to play. And then, yeah, his best free to play is the Black Sword. And I confirmed that by trying a bunch of different weapons. You can't go wrong with the Finale of the Deep either. Honestly, that's the best one for Chlorine. I'm a cool steel for forever. I'm trying to think in terms of crafted weapons. Some people like the flute on him. I don't see anything wrong here. Not recommended. Yeah, he'll overcap on crit on the Wolf Fang. Black Cliff is just not good, and you're gonna lose out on a bunch of stats if you use the. I know I praised it the other day, but like, I'm gonna lean over, talk to the microscope. Nilu Bloom EM build. Would he be proccing the blooms though? I, I guess so, because she's not applying water. So yeah, you'd have two Dendro with him and Nilu, and then he'd be EM. Yeah, and then you'd put it on EM. The reason they're recommending this is because bloom reactions do not crit, which means on Hyper Bloom Burgeon and EM teams, whoever's proc crit becomes less relevant. On some of the teams I play, crit might become relevant. So because he won't be the procer, he's just doing the damage on some of the teams I run. But in general, this is important. So as you can see, there's like nothing biased. It's just presented to you. Yeah, he wants the EM or ER weapons because he's just going to be a bot at that point. And there's like characters that you can put him with, Hyper Bloom, yeah, and examples of the teams. And it's going to tell you what, and it's going to give you rotations. So this website gets a lot of slack, but it does cover a lot of detail and make you think critically about the types of things that you might want, and is overall a good guide. You know what is a bad guide? Cautious system is the worst thing you can do for yourself. It is terrible. All right, so first of all, we're going to go on this. So as you can see, it's assuming that he is on his signature weapon with an R5 Iron Sting, full VV, full 1000 EM Kazuha, and Noblis with the with a 5-star weapon C6 Benny and Fischl on a soup team. This is not how I play him. It is making these huge assumptions about my character. He does not have that much EM. Also, how is he supposed to vape or do any reactions if he has no EM? I'm just putting it out there. Guess I did crown him. Is my artifact quality so? Yeah. But like, my personal favorite here is looking at my Chongyun, who is like, has the highest CV out of my characters. He's not even up there. Yeah, top 65, my butt. Also, this one, my Lisa's not on a nuke build. That's not the team I'm playing. I'm using her on Overload and Aggravate. That's why she's on so much EM and so much ER. She's on the Cushion Ring. If she was on an actual build to nuke, she'd be on like the Widsith or something. Like a crit rate, crit damage weapon, and she's not. That's like look at this. These are EM pieces. She's not here for that. What assumptions are they making on her? This is in fact, I don't have Bennett on this, but this is actually pretty pretty close, right? But as you can see, it's like really high. So we're going to talk about statistics in a second on R1. Oh, that's not her weapon. Says those are dead pieces. This site is about to be dead. So as you can see, one of the reasons you can't trust this site, people say, I want the #1 blank on the ladder board. This is the PvP ladder board site for speedrunners. I'm going to say it again. This is a PvP leaderboard for speedrunners. If you are not a PvP player, if you are not a speedrunner, this site will not help you. It will not judge whether your characters are good or bad. You should not be bragging based on whether you have the 1% or the worst percent, because if you have a 1% Nilu, does that mean anything if you're not playing her? You got your favorite character to 1%. Now what? Unless you enjoy that min-maxing, unless you plan on doing showcases with the character, why did you put in all of that work and effort to have some site, instead of yourself, tell you? Why are you seeking validation from a community, a meta community that is just constantly fighting itself? You will lose your spot on the leaderboard so fast. It's like they're also not giving you a fair shot. They're not showing you the teams that you'd actually play. They're not like, I don't just play her with Zhongli. I have her C1. It's just I don't like the recent trend. This site is for crit fishers and for a completely different breed than the casual audience. And I encourage you that unless you want to get into the speedrunning community and into that type of community, that you avoid this site at all costs because it will not accurately give you any information on your character that will actually be useful. It will make assumptions about your characters that are inaccurate. It will not take your personal experience into account, and it will not tell you how to improve your characters. You will have to learn that on your own through reading, through looking at multiple guides, and judging what's best based on that. The kit itself will tell you what artifacts will be good. The artifact text will tell you what is good, whether two piece is good, whether a full 4-piece is good. It will tell you what crit stats if they need crit. It will tell you what if they need defense or attack or HP. If you read the characters and you look at as many sources, even in the game. So if we're going to go back to the game for a second, I can get rid of all of this. Ooh. Oh no, go back. I have Ethernet for now. It's so great. We can see some favorite things about him. So if you go on the artifacts here, you'll notice this fast configuration. So these are this is one you can make yourself, which I recommend if you're having trouble equipping them. And the equip configuration is based completely on what the community thinks your character should have. So let's see what they think I should put on him. As you can see, my ER did go down and my crit rate went down. Now, a 69 crit rate is okay for 206, but that would be, obviously that's just telling me that I would need more crit. That I just don't possess the artifacts that I need. And the fact that they put hydro damage here at the expense of that much attack is not good, particularly on the teams. So I'm assuming this is yeah, that's what happened there. So it's kind of a yes and no. You could if you wanted, but I don't think it'd be worth it. Another one is on the talents, where it has here, and you have upgrade priority. As you can see, it goes like this, but what it doesn't tell you is that his skill is an infusion that infuses and gives a bonus based on its attack. So if you go in here, it's saying these hit damages, but what it's not saying is there are hit damages on top of this. The skill should take priority. I need to find a truly egregious example of this, of someone doing this wrong. Let's try her. Yep. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. A lot more people have them. Here, let's look for someone who's not a lot of people. Oh, let's go with you. Okay. So, Lisa's really hard to build. I don't recommend her for the faint of heart. It's saying, yeah, violet arc, lamp, and then normals. I'm gonna be straight with you. You can pretty much ignore her normals. But honestly, most people find the burst more useful than violet arc. Violet arc has the most damage, but it's also like you're only going to use it every other rotation because of the amount of time it takes. And unless she's C6, you're definitely not going to be using it. My Lisa is C6 because I like using Lisa. Kind of makes me want to use her more, you know? I'm actually kind of like, it gets really interesting. For her, I don't think it's her burst that goes first. It's her normal. She's a charge attacker, and her burst gives her buffs. They're getting a lot better. They used to be super scuffed. I'm looking for something truly terrible. These have gotten so much better. They used to be like, oh, let's see what we go. Ooh, I want to see what they did for Kaveh, because that would be very interesting, actually. Certified worst character in the game. Oh, but I love him so much. Okay. Talent. Yep, that is incorrect. You actually want to do his skill first. Because it pops the balloons in his higher multipliers. Oh wait, let's see what they do for Sethos. So Sethos is an interesting case on how you build him because he scales in EM. And I don't mean scales with EM as in he'll have better hyper blooms. I mean he scales EM as in the same way Ito scales defense type of deal. Like he's a dual scaler. No full troop. the EM and charge attack damage because he's a charge attacker. Everything in his kit will say charge attack in it because you're going to want to do the loud one, the shadow piercing shot. This is just for generating energy. And this gives him a, dusk damage bonus. Bolt increase, from his regular charge shots, because they're charge shots. So you do the aim charge shot level 1, that's what it's doing, and it's adding that top multiplier based on his EM on top of it. Whereas this one, here on the shadow piercing shots, has its own multipliers. If you clicked it out, it would actually be higher, but these special ones actually have special extra EM. So you're like, ooh, I get 330% EM bonus on my charge level 1, right? But if you go to here, which one is it? 700% of his EM on shadow piercing shots compared to 333 on his level 1s. That's like no joke. It is time, but if you have a full burst, you shoot 3 of them, or you do a 1 shadow pierce followed by a skill to get energy, which will get his burst to 100, and then you can do it again. The skill is useless. There we go. They agree with me. Now we're gonna see what they think that artifact should be. It agrees. Does this actually improve him? Wait, no way. No, his EM went down. Attack? What? What are you guys doing? What are you doing? I have him on. I have him on a. I have him on a stat stick here, which does offer a lot of attack, but like, I'm just gonna tell you, 7 times 682 plus his multipliers on top of that is just more than enough. Also like him because he's not exclusively a Dendro character. The C1 is his most important one. That tells you his worst is this one. I don't know why it's here. He strikes 2 or more opponents 8. Oh, it's conditional. It's not even that good. There's some in-game ones. I don't know how to access the training guide. Oh, here it is. This one can be a little scuffed if you want. I'm not actually going to build Kaya. I do love Kaya, but I'm not going to build him. Yeah, it says it wants the talents up. Because I can upgrade. Yeah, once those up. And it's recommending some other things, some vermilion, which a lot of people... I have echoes. I shouldn't have thrown out those vermilion pieces. Hi, this is Jadewin. Yeah, and I got 1 lucky off of the normal banner. That's what he's on. Ooh, on here, I'm trying cool steel. Yeah, that's what he's on. That's not his best weapon. It would definitely be the Wolf's Fang. Yeah. Black Sword. Clear Slayer, he is freeze. A cursed thing is you could also put him... Oh, he's got no artifacts. I was just using him for application. I would honestly put him on a Noblesse and an emblem. I wouldn't put him on freeze. If you want a DPS, you could put him on freeze, I guess. Yeah, and then his burst and skills priority. He goes really well with Chung Yun if you want to DPS him. A male? What? Let's check in. Okay. I have more fun stuff here. Oh, we're gonna talk about crit fishing. I hate crit fishing. I have met... Oh, I'm not... I should not leave that. So I have a special... I have a loathing for crit fishing. The same reason I hate, like, people saying certain characters are better than others because they're newer. And also the bane of my existence of people not reading kits is seeing a lot of people being stressed out about crit, and because it's hard to get. But you know what else is hard to get? EM and ER. So first I'm going to tell you what overcapping on crit is, because you'll hear some people say that, particularly on characters that have crit built into their kits, is that overcapping on crit or overcapping on anything is when you have so much of one stat where you don't need it, and then it becomes a waste. Like if you have someone who has 100% crit rate, or 110% crit rate, that is wasted. That's 20% of something that could have been something else like crit damage, ER, or EM, right? And depending on your character, you just wasted 20% of something. And that's kind of a big deal when your character might have multiple needs. Like, you might see those flat stats on artifacts, but like I just said with Iato, sometimes you need those and they're not wasted lines. So you need to like, there's some more nuance. You can't just throw away an artifact just because it doesn't have crit. Like if it's an artifact set that's not for DPSs, like a Noblesse or a Cinder City, unless you're putting them on a fav, like those flat stats that you think are useless will mean something and should not be discredited. So I actually have a diagram here that I thought some people like I find funny. There's a flow chart of if your character needs crit, because I meet so many people who don't know what they're doing. And like things you need to think is like, are they dealing damage? Are they a support? Are they on a fav? Because they need crit if you want to get the energy for your team. How much crit would you need if you had a fav? Like, and then it's like, are they doing bloom? Because bloom reactions like hyper bloom and burgeon and bloom itself don't crit. Your character doesn't need crit. You don't need to worry about that. Is your character doing a lot of hits? Then you can get away with like a 60% crit rate because they're doing so many hits in a rotation that there's a higher chance of critting because they're hitting more frequently. But if you're like Milani, who only hits one big vape once, you need to guarantee that crits. So you will need like an 80-90% crit rate. Rena, who hits fairly frequently, will not need as high of a crit rate because she's hitting more frequently. If you're trying to do a nuke like with Mona or Movika, you only doing the hit once and not staying on field, or claymores in general do fewer hits. Even Kanichi does fewer hits, and Ganyu and Tanari like only have 3-4 hits. Like you're gonna need more crit because there's fewer hits, which means there's fewer opportunities to crit, which means it's more important that you get that extra crit damage that you put on there, that extra free damage, right? But there's more you have to consider because it's even more complicated. Do they have baked in crit rate into their artifacts, weapons, and kit? Like, I looked at my one of my co-op buddies his Chlorine had 40% crit rate, but that's not actually bad because she gives herself 20% crit rate in her kit already. If you put on a Marchoisi, that's an extra 36% crit. If you have a character on Codex, that's extra 40% crit. And suddenly you have a Chaska on a harp who ascends crit on an artifact set that gives 40% crit. And suddenly, if you have a single crit roll on any of your artifacts, it's a waste of stats. And it could have been attack, that could have been EM, that it could have been anything. And of course, the thing you have to ask is speedrunning, because if you are speedrunning and you need to make sure that you do as much damage as possible in 10 seconds, then you're going to need nearly 100% crit, and you're going to need like 300% crit damage. You are going to need to sacrifice every other stat, spend months in dungeons to get perfect, the only instance in which you need truly perfect artifacts, just so you can kill something. And even then, in 30 seconds, and even then, I need to stop saying the part. If you defeat, if you want victory in under 3 seconds, you're gonna have to make sure that they have as high a crit rate and crit damage as possible, because you're going to be resetting every single time you're on the floor to make sure you have the perfect run, the perfect clear. You only get one shot when you're speed running. You don't get to stop and go back. You have to reset if you do not crit. So you want it to be high, and you want the crit damage to be extra, and you want every single character to have the most they can to contribute the most they can. You need the most vertical investment. That is when it matters. But for most people, 75 to 160 about CV 1-to-2 ratio is perfectly fine to stop at. After that, you're min-maxing, and that can be very aggravating, particularly if bad artifact luck. So I made this flowchart for you. I don't know if you found it helpful. I don't want to see any like Nilus with perfect crit rates, unless you're vaping with her, I guess. This also applies like if you're banking a character that's not supposed to be DPS into a DPS, how to think about it that way. So that's why I said, are they for damage, right? Like you can take a support character and build them for damage, and then you would want crit stats on them. But like Kazuha doesn't want crit. I don't care what people say, unless he's on a fab. He doesn't need crit. Any crit stat he has could have been an EM stat. Get on it. I just see a lot of people just stress out about all these things. And I'm hoping like this gives you a bit of a clearer view on what they mean. And there's a lot of nuance to characters and teams and stuff that might impact you. Next we're gonna go into team building. So I can show you with Ayato why, with teams I'm playing him on, that might result in it. So if you're playing a team with Farina, Farina will offer just a flat damage bonus, which is essentially Hydra damage for him. If I put a Roar in here,
what's the occasion?
He's now offering Scroll, which means he is now offering off-field damage, and he just gave 40% Shred to Ayato. So now he has 40% Shred against Hydro, and he's got a damage bonus for Hydro. If I put Kazuha here,
Sounds good to me.
that's some, in total, 60% buff between extra Hydro damage bonus if he swirls water, which in the rotation he should, and it will give an inherent damage bonus and Shred with his burst if he has 1,000 EM. So in this team alone, Ayato is gaining more Hydro damage bonus from his teammates than he is from himself, and ergo he would need more attack because you get diminishing returns after a certain point. I'm trying to see like some freeze teams. Now, if you wanted to change your team and say you wanted to play a messed up team for some reason that happened to look like this. She's sharing crit, and she's on a Noblesse, she's on a Millilith set. This means that he is now receiving attack buffs and crit buffs from these two characters, because which is why you might get a Blizzard Slayer build on him. This means that he will need Hydro damage bonus because he's going to have increased attack coming in. And because she is sharing 15% of her crit rate with him, that means that he too will have lower crit needs. If you put Layla on a Fav here, or Rosaria both on a Fav, he now needs no energy recharge. In general, there's some characters like Layla or Farina where they're on a Fav anyway, which will obviously make it more comfortable. So that's how a team might affect it on how you build a character. And I kind of got delighted to use Ayato here because he is just very simple, does a bit of everything, which means he can be an example of a bit of everything. My Rosaria is not built. I need to get her off of this team. I guess if I said Burgeon was so fun, I should probably play a Burgeon team. I don't want him to be the one proccing the blooms, though. I want that to be Toma. No, because I need a healer then. One must ask themselves questions, you know? But then this will create blooms, which will be based on their EM, but he's gonna backflip them. So we're going to... It's also fun to use, Toma and Ayato together if you're someone who cares. Something happened here. That is not... Something happened here. Why is... What happened? What happened here? he appears to have taken something from somebody. I think this was his. And I don't think he's supposed to be on this EM piece. I think he's supposed to be on a different piece. Ah. He is supposed to be on a different piece. Nope. Where is it? Where is it? Why is our artifacts not fully leveled? That's so strange. There it is. I was wondering where you went. You could actually probably go for more EM than that. 300 is a great, is a good minimum. But some of the other ones have stuff. This will, generally, if you're going to do EM Toma, you want more EM, like you want them on floppers or something. I mean, I think I have some gilded pieces, maybe? Place HP pieces with gilded pieces, maybe? Doing a weird hunch over here. Because I want him to proc that fab. I don't care what my twin says. I don't have anything leveled. I'm not going to change it. That would be stupid. I suppose it'll be better if I use like buffed enemies in here. God, I swear Abyss really is a pocket dimension. I think the problem with this team is no one is offering Iato anything. We'll go back to the 33 stars later, I think. I might do a stream on Wednesday after Shinyun comes out. Toast. All of you. I'm just gonna run Kanish on the top half. I hope you don't mind. I don't want him last. Or I want him last. Here, let's do that team I showed you guys. Don't think it's anything electro resistant there. No, and even he plunges. Okay. First half. God, I hate that machine. Oh, right, I just wanted to run a regular Kanish burn. There's nothing wrong here. You know, a nice cozy team. We're just gonna choose a random card. I'm not very keen. This should be over quickly. Boom. Oh, he lived. Just chewing through that shield, just like rip. I know some people really hate Kanish, but I just freaking love him. I feel like the past Abyss wasn't really good for him, so even though he's like normally really good for damage, it's just not been very nice. You always want to start with this Q. for the bonus because it buffs his team and stays around for a really long time as well. Stay right there. Whoop. I should trap in the next round of people. Just make sure you stay in the Kazu's circle there. Whoop. See, right on cue. See, look at that AoE. Oh, you lived? I don't like that. Here, give me my burst back for the next floor. You're toast. Okay, this team is fun. I haven't played it in a while. Hey, I'm over here. I don't think I even need to use his burst there. Come here. Come one, come all. Oh no, he swirled Electro. Well, it is what it is. Oh, he's hurting. Oh no. I deserve that. I forgot to ring a healer. I should have brought Kokomi. Oh, I have to start from the beginning? Oh no. I'm gonna stay here and hope he comes to me. Yo, Mobika. Why did I play her when I did play Kaniche? You don't need very much power to keep up burn. I believe you do need crit on burn characters because burn is like it takes so little and he is doing raw damage, so okay. He's applying enough water, I don't have to worry. We're gonna do some bursts here. Hopefully heal everybody. Use their burst for the iframes to heal them. Hey. Crush you. And catch those. Okay, this is aggravating. I messed up. Oh, get out of that. Fun fact for these girls, if you like just have Kazuha on just plunge with him on a sack sword, he gets rid of them really quickly. I don't like them. They're being mean. Come on, fall damage. Jump. Oh, that was painful. Not nearly as painful as what's on the other side. I'm normally out of range when I'm that close to them. Just like, did they do something to their hitbox or something? Oh my god, I haven't even done my dailies today. I know that most of you rolled for Malika because she's like the Archon and stuff, but I rolled for Malika for my Kanichi. And my Chaska. One tower skill and she's just done. She's on Cinder, by the way. This is gonna suck. I can't wait for him to Shao in here when I'm got Shun Yun. I need to see if the clear time is better. Oh, that's gonna hurt. And... you, like, thank you. Shoot. This is gonna take a while. Are you freaking kidding me? No, he's fragile. Yes, I know this doesn't work and that you should probably use Geo. I didn't mean to do that. Oh my gosh. Shred, 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 shred. Also, unlike Nuvolet, you can actually dodge when you're playing Ayato. Oh my god, that's so rude. I need to get him off field this very minute. Why is he getting injured? So you can hit it through the shield, it's just very unpleasant. Oh. I don't like this thing. Don't like this thing. Oh, so annoying. This is why I play freeze with him. Ugh, everything was so well until the experimental field generator. Ugh. Oops. I should find a random character to equip. I'm kind of glad the system sorted itself out. My poor benched characters. Here with Kaveh. I've actually been enjoying Lynette lately. What do I have her on? She's at 70. I might ascend her, but I kind of just want to see what Aoife does. Because I don't want to build Fruzen. So I wouldn't mind keeping her instead. It's just he can hold Scroll and she'd be holding Vivi or Noblesse or something. Hmm. One minute. What the f- Don't mind me. Does it crit on it? No. Wait, no, this is sucrose because I'm putting sucrose is gonna hold artifacts for Shinyun. This is attack, yeah, ER. I'm actually gonna see if she needs ER, and if she doesn't need ER as much, then I can switch on to this piece, which will help her healing. If not, this is for the fav. If not, I'm gonna have to put Shinyun on a healing circlet. When I build healers, I prefer building them with extra stats for her. So this healing bonus one for Shinyu, his ER attack, which would be good for her. But I'm gonna put a fav on her, so I think I'd rather keep that piece and then just see if I can get this would give her more base attack than this, I think. But Crit Rate EMER, it's not bad, I guess. It's not good, but it is not bad. I'm gonna try her on a Noblesse though, because that's the slot she's gonna be filling. I could put her on an attack set, but after looking at a lot of guides and stuff, she's gonna be used with Xiao, who's really gonna need the attack. So I'm gonna do the Frina Shinyun thing, and I might Bobble Cat. I don't have songs of days past for her. I don't think it'd be a good choice, and then put the Noblesse on Lynette, who's not there for damage, but I know she does hurt. I'm not gonna level her anymore, but would be another set. I would. Oh god, my microphone just scared me. Oh my gosh. I don't think I do this. Ooh, I could. I don't think I have songs of days past. No. It's kind of a worse version of Clam. Clam would be pretty hard because Xiao is draining his HP, and so is Arena. So to overcap healing would actually be really difficult. That she wouldn't proc Clam very much. Like Gomi can do it, but I'm not sure she can do it. Yeah, 90% of the if they overcap on healing, they get 90% of that calculated true damage. Oh, I've seen her like do some crazy clan numbers. This damage is calculated simple to other transformative reactions. And it's yeah, but it's not affected by other stats, it's just affected by healing. That's a lot of words just to say, hey, if you overheal character, that overhealing gets converted into true damage. It's just this. I'd rather have a buffing set just because Xiao needs it so bad that I don't think. Because if you had her on a VV, increases swirl damage, but the only thing that's going to be swirled is Farina, so be buffing Farina. Yeah, so I mean, it would make Farina do more damage, which I guess is not a bad thing. But I think I might want Shenyun to stay on a Noblesse. In this, I might swap her on to VV if I play her on other teams. I know I have a VV set waiting somewhere. Here, I should probably. Oh no. No, I'm leaving. Leave. Thank you. Do I want to hold those? Lynette should probably be holding those VV pieces that actually want on her. On Lynette and have them share Noblesse and VV. actually. If that's a fully leveled feather, I'd rather that. You're... Yeah. Hey, you take me back to my Lynette. uh... Just want to see the main stats. I'm not looking too worried about substats at this current moment. I just need to make sure that I have Bobble Cat uptime, you know? Okay. Oof. My improperly built EM Toma. My twin deserve to laugh at me. They thought my builds were kind of silly. But just for reference, I have tried him with Hydra damage and without Hydra damage and on various weapons, and I just found that the build he's on now with an attack goblet, like, they're very similar stats between the attack and the Hydra damage, and it didn't make that much of a difference. Besides, like, it showed, the Hydra damage bonus wouldn't be adding much. Like, I mean, it's not a very good goblet to begin with. This is crit damage, but he'd be losing crit rate, which I'm not sure I'd want. And it has wasted HP rolls. This would be better, but then he'd be missing ER, because his only ER is on this piece. Oh yeah, no, that piece would be wasted on him. I should actually check Shinsho while I'm here. Because I did put him on... Yeah, I gave him a bit of EM. I was doing some stuff where he was proccing things in Abyss, so... I miss... Oh my god, I just realized my Kinich was in there. And Mav had his artifacts. This should be true with my Chaska as well. Yeah, she had him. That means this piece is hers, this piece is hers, this is hers. This piece is hers. Oops. And... perfectly serviceable for an sub DPS off field, particularly with her multipliers. Here on the skill damage. Ring radiance damage. 200% her attack. Every 2 seconds. So that would be 4k minimum, not including crit damage and crits or pyro damage bonuses. I see them on average do like 20 per hit. And there's her burst. I love that 756 damage multiplier. That's just a nuke there for no reason. Wait, doesn't it give her... Yeah, it has its own separate multipliers. So in this case, I saw some people leveling her normals, and I had to be like, don't level her normals because this is where the multipliers are. Like, this isn't an infusion, right? These are their attacks have their own multipliers. Like Flamestarter, these are bicycle attacks. Because if you're not in bike mode and you're in ring mode on with her on field, she uses these. But you want her to be using these on the bike. These are the separate multipliers. You don't need to. So let's see. Oh. Oh no. That's not what you want. You still want to prioritize the skill. This gives you a buff, but it's not this. Because this doesn't have its own attack. Yeah, because this is buffing this. Flame Strider, yeah, it gives us a bonus, so this matters. But like, and you're like, oh, but you leveled the burst. I leveled the burst first because I wanted, it has a Ngozi will give better buffing based on the Sunfield slice damage. That's the one that I wanted. At 2% her attack and for fighting spirit. And because I max her fighting spirit on a full burst, that's some 50% extra damage. And that's why I leveled this up. Because I want her to buff her teammates. I should actually read these. I did find a text to speech. Unfortunately, it was like open source. And some people don't like open source coding, so I'm not sure I can share it with you. Which is honestly a bit rude. Yeah, but it is out there for some open source codes. Shout out to people who just like programming stuff for fun and then just upload it. All right. That's probably it. This one's gonna be shorter. To be clear, I'm probably gonna schedule one for Wednesday unless I'm busy that day, and probably do some stuff in Abyss and some stuff with Shen Yun and Shao just to try it out. I've been waiting for her rerun, and I know she's bad for my account. I'm gonna do it anyway. And I'd like to have an animal healer that's strong enough to bring into Abyss. So she will be holding VVs at some point. So I need to level those artifacts. That's gonna not be fun either. And alright. So hopefully some of you got your critical thinking caps and feel a little bit better about all the work you put in and that your builds were not in vain. Your hard work is fine. And the game is rigged against you. And you should only be comparing yourself to yourself. This game isn't really PvP. It's a lot better to go, my build is better towards my goal and towards what I wanted than it is to be like, I'm better than this person, or I cleared faster, or look, ooh, I got 36 stars, right? Like, 90% of the game is exploration, which is the best excuse to use your favorite characters. So, hopefully you enjoy all the content with them. And if they're good for most of the content, like, do you really need to, is completing floor 12 even good enough, right? It's just some primos. And as I said, 36 stars is not worth your mental health. It sure was not worth mine. All right. Okay. That'll be it. All right. I hope there's good weather where you are and you get to go outside and indulge in nature better than it is here. Grab your favorite beverage and have a wonderful rest of your day.